you're not in hell, which is hot, then you're cold, and that's a good thing. But anyway, he looks at them and he says, you're not either one of them. You are the fusion. You are lukewarm. You are the fusion of the two things together. And he said, I don't want you that way. So here we are. This whole idea of opposites now is this. We see it in the yin-yang symbol. We see it all these symbols that we're looking at, the fusion of things that are opposite together. And that is Daniel chapter 2, where he talks about they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. That is that concept there that it's getting at. And so I want you to understand this and the approach that Jesus is taking here and the language that he's using, because we see it in the real world. I know thy works, that thou art neither cold nor hot. I would that thou art cold or hot. So then, because thou art lukewarm, and neither cold nor hot, I will spew thee out of my mouth. So Christ is rejecting this Laodicean church. Okay, he is spewing them out of his mouth. That's a vomit term is what it is. It makes Christ sick to his stomach. And so he is casting them out as being rejected. And so he spews them out of his mouth. And then he says in verse 17, here's the reason why. Here is the reason why. Because thou sayest. And there are 5 things here. Number 1, I am rich. So you watch all these guys on TV that talk about rich and prosperity all the time. And that's all that comes out of their mouth is wealth and prosperity. I am rich. Rick Warren's Saddleback Community Church is in one of the most affluent areas in the entire country, Orange County, California. And to say that church is definitely rich. And a lot of this purpose-driven stuff that's going on in our churches today has everything to do with wealth. It has everything to do with being rich, as though that is some sign that God's really blessing you, and it's not. So he says, I'm rich, I'm increased with goods. That's materialism, that's covetousness, and have need of nothing, and knowest not that thou art wretched and miserable and poor. The 5 things here: wretched and miserable and poor and blind. That means they close their eyes to the Bible. And the 5th thing that he said here is that they're naked. So watch this now. They have returned back to a state there before the fall of man. And I'm going to show you some verses on being naked in the Bible. But here's what got my attention. Somebody sent me this week, and I really appreciate it. This is a course now from a Catholic monk called The Naked Now. Learning to see as the mystics see. Now, just this whole eyeball with these radiations coming out of it. That's the Illuminati symbol. That is the symbol for the mark of the beast, the illumination that is going to come in the last days. 2 Thessalonians 2. I just feel like going all over the Bible today. You know what? There's nothing wrong with that either. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and I know it by heart, but I want you to read it here. He says, for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. Now here's the interesting thing here, is that Christ said of the Laodicean church is that they're blind, which means they cannot see. And yet this whole mysticism thing and this whole emerging church idea and this God with this spark of divinity that you have in you and all this stuff is going to awaken you, this great awakening, this new reformation, this having your eyes open and stuff like that. They're all promising people that they're going to get this new vision. Which is the opening of the third eye, the pineal gland and the serpent, all that stuff we've talked about. But really, it's making them more blind. And God said, for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. When you're deluded, you see things that are not there. And these people are going to, they think that they're going to have their eyes open, but really, they're going to be blinded. That is the same thing that Lucifer promised to Eve in the Garden of Eden when he spoke his 46 words to her. So anyway, this just really jumped out at me was the symbolism of this, number 1. And number 2, the phrase, the naked now. Let me read this here real quick. The enlightenment we seek has been present in Christianity from the beginning. Father Richard Rohr, a global leader in spiritual awakening, did you get those terms there now? Helps us to recognize the forces such as ego resistance and dual thinking that separate us from our deeper selves. Then, drawing from the Gospels and the greatest Christian contemplatives, he shows us what it means to be spiritually awake. We will learn how to awaken our desire for God, free ourselves from the fear. You know what? I'm going to stop here. You know how to awaken? You know how your desire for God is awakened? When God crashes your plane because of your sin, okay? When God puts you over His knee and gives you a whip, and I want to tell you, when my mama whooped me, I woke up, okay? And I want to tell you, that's how God awakens us, okay? It's not through this spiritual meditation nonsense that they're selling. That stuff is a dangerous, dangerous stuff. He says, free ourselves from the fears that cripple us. Connect. See that word there, connect? That is being used in all these New Age emergent churches now. We're going to connect this. Come get connected. Come get plugged in. Connect to the joy already within us. In other words, he's telling you that there's something already hiding in you. That is the spark of divinity. That is the beast rising up inside of you is what that is. Connect to the joy already within us. Transform ourselves and inspire others. See that word transform there. See as the mystics see, with your third eye open. Live in full awareness of the naked now. The naked now is a deep breath of fresh air. Richard Rohr invites us, all of us, to slow down and to find God, or be found by God, in all the places we never thought to look. In other words, you thought to look in the Bible, and because you didn't believe the Bible, you didn't have a King James, you didn't find it in there. So he's going to teach you how to find all this stuff deep, deep, deep within inside of yourself. And this, I'm telling you what, this is a dangerous, dangerous setup. But this nakedness now really gets me, because that is exactly how Christ described the Laodicean church of these last days that we are living in. And we are seeing, and not only are we seeing an immodesty growing in our churches and in our communities, in our world today, people shedding off their clothes, people unashamed anymore, and nudity now has to do with shame. And I could show you that all through the Bible. When Adam and Eve, when their eyes were open and they saw that they were naked, they were ashamed, the Bible says. And so nakedness has to do with being ashamed of the things that we have done wrong. And so when there is no more shame in our lives, that's when everything comes off and we just do whatever we want to, and we have no shame and no fear. It used to be a long time ago that if a young man, a young lady, if they committed fornication, there was shame along with that. Now what we have in our country right now is everybody's doing this all over the place. Everybody's shacking up. There's no shame to it anymore. The homosexuals are not ashamed of anything. Nobody is ashamed of anything anymore. This is the world we live in, and now they're back to being naked, not only physically but spiritually, and there is no shame associated with that. In Exodus chapter 32. When the Israelites were partying down at the base of Mount Sinai, and Moses was up receiving the very, very good word of God for them, we see this verse, Exodus 32:25, and when Moses saw that the people were naked, for Aaron had made them naked unto their shame among their enemies. They had asked Aaron to make them an idol, and he did. And then they were having this reveling party associated with worshiping this idol, which was Baal, which was the Antichrist, the beast. They were worshiping the beast. That's a prefiguring of that in the Old Testament. And because of this, they were naked. Aaron had made them naked to their shame. Not just naked physically, but naked in their souls, naked spiritually. And they had no shame in amongst themselves. But there was a shame and a reproach on them because of their activities. And this is exactly where people are going right now. We read this in Revelation chapter 3, where the Laodicean church is naked and they have a shame upon them. And this is typical of the church age that we live in right now, because now we're starting to see the churches where they used to preach against sin, they're embracing it now, welcoming it. Oh, this is just how people are, and it's okay, and they've turned the grace of God, my friend, into lasciviousness. And it's not just coming through the Roman Catholic priests. It's moving into just about every aspect of church life right now. And if you open your eyes biblically, you'll see it. Here's another one that this goes in the category of this doesn't surprise me one bit. This is from the Christian Post. 2 in 5 evangelical leaders drink alcohol. 40% of evangelical leaders said that they socially drink alcohol, according to a new monthly poll. Now I want to tell you something. We have a video. If you don't have a copy of this video, we'll send it to you. We'll dig it up out of our archives. And it is, what does the Bible say? And it's about alcohol. And I'll tell you, I take a strong stand, and I won't apologize to anybody for it. I take a very strong stand against alcohol and against the things that people say that, oh, the Bible says you can drink in moderation.